Okay. Okay.
So no,
And
I was
so
just
shall we
talking
start?
about to
Yeah.
me like the complexity of the job, the scope,
Yeah.
number of employees. It's it, it, I think that's probably good enough. But anyway,
Mhm. Okay. Okay, perfect. And then you were the VP direct to consumer at Fruit of the Loom.
correct.
Okay. And so again, there, you were in charge of a team. You led recruitment and training of the office staff. And then my same question: that what were you training the team on?
Um, the team I was training on was really we were charged with developing a direct to consumer strategy, so building out e-commerce websites and brick and mortar stores. So
Okay.
while we had certain, yeah, so it was really focused along those two things.
Okay. Okay. And then yeah, so this is really interesting that you constructed the initial DTC team. So I would like to know that how did this team contribute towards the growth, or I would say the initial takeoff for the company?
Well, the company was a little over a $3 billion company, so the growth
Mhm.
the amount of revenue that the DTC team is was really negligible. But our main competitor in the space had about a $300 million business, and we were very far behind, and we needed to get going on this. So
Mhm.
for us, it was more. It wasn't so much about the revenue that was driven or the money that was generated. It was more about getting our brand out into on the internet, onto an e-commerce enabled website, ensuring that we had brick and mortar stores, flagship stores where people could come in and see the breadth of our product, as opposed to like, oh, I'm in a Walmart, a Target, I see something by Fruit of them. They could see the entire scope and breadth of the line.
Mhm.
So it was more about,
Yeah.
excuse me, about branding and getting our customers to know what we're all about than it was about driving tons of revenue.
Okay. Okay. And then, so I think the rest of the information is pretty much straightforward since, it was more about, um, opening that entire store, that entire building. So yeah, so I think that's the other thing from this role.
Yeah.
So anything else you would like to add from this one then?
Um, I think the key takeaways are that, this is a project that it wasn't an existing um, business that I took over and optimized. This was, build the program from scratch. And so, the ability to come in, take a strategic objective that's been kind of languishing out there for years
Hmm.
and take it and pick it up and really not have any functional expertise coming in. But, throughout my career, I've been able to come in for a job and then they said, hey, look, you have the ability to do a little bit more. Why don't you take this on and take this project on and brought it to fruition in a very quick manner, developed an award-winning website, generated, clearly the revenue, as I stated, wasn't massive, roughly $10 million across all the stores and the websites, which in the grand scheme of things is
Hmm.
not very big, but it's about getting the presence, the branding out there and working with the brand marketing team to ensure that when people come in and say, what Fruit of the Loom, you go punch it in. You actually can go to a website where you can buy all the product because not every store carried the entire assortment. So really, I think that was
Yeah.
the big thing there. Building
Okay.
something from scratch and building a team and jumping into something that I didn't come in knowing a tremendous amount about.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, and then you were the VP of Business Analytics, Forecasting and Research at Fruit of the Loom again.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so here, you were leading a team of 75, and then you also mentioned that you did revamp and existing processes and introduce new ones. So yeah, so can you tell me something about that? Like what sort of processes did you revamp and what did you introduce?
Okay, well, first before that, there was the initial group of people that were at so I was part of a company that was bought by Fruit of the Loom, and roughly
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people were let go. I was kept on and given this responsibility. So they said, hey, you need to meld the existing team plus a new team, and then probably about 6 8 months later, they bought another company. So take those three teams, and determine who's good, who's bad, who's needs to be in another area. How do we get to build these processes out and make sure that we're really heading down the right path. So that was really the,
Yeah.
the first thing there. And I was able to kind of sift through everything, build the teams. There was not a business analytics team. That was kind of develop that from scratch and build that out. Hire the right people to help lead that charge and move forward. For us, it was really on the market research, the business analytics teams. It was how to utilize that skill set more for like executive level to ensure that it was utilized by all members of the team or the company. Company was corporate headquarters was probably about 1,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we ensure that everyone's reading out of the same playbook? I guess would be the big thing. It was previously it was every little functional area had their own way of trying to figure out where they were in the grand scheme of things, and we were there to ensure that all the information that was put out and put forth was accurate, was from the same system, and was consistent, and that any analysis that was put into play was you know something that again came from a same mindset, as opposed to 1 minute somebody saying this is the appropriate step to take, and then you know 2 days later someone else is looking at the same situation and coming up with a completely different result.
Okay. Okay, great. And so you conducted recruitment here as well. So again, so you
Yeah.
said that you were involved in the recruitment of the entire team. So do we call it the business analytics team?
Well, so it was like multiple functional areas. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it was business analytics was one, category management was one, forecasting was one, market research was one. It's just the title ends up getting so long, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it
Mhm.
was multiple functional areas. There was a couple of different forecasting teams as well.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, and okay, and the rest of it makes sense as well. So, anything you would like to highlight about this role?
Um, you know, obviously the word analytics is in there a lot, and I know it's keyword driven on things of this nature. This
Yeah.
was, a lot of the stuff that in my resume before this job. I've been in the workplace, prior probably, 15 years before this, and a lot of it was
Yeah.
analytically based roles and things of that nature. So, I just want to make sure that functionality is still in there. It's like, hey, there's a business development aspect, there's an analytic aspect, there's the executive level aspect, there's and again, I feel like I've done so many different things and done them very well. It's like, what am I really focusing on, and can I convey this? So, I mean, to me, I guess
Yeah.
that's my big challenge.
Okay. And from the job postings, I noticed that, the three positions that you shared with me. So these are all like clothing and apparel brands. So is that your next target?
I am totally. It is not clothing and apparel. That's just three that I happen to just find right out of the gate. I'm
Okay.
pretty open to whatever industry. Look, I think my skill set translates into or goes across industries very very well. So I'm totally fine with. You know, I'm not just stuck in clothing and apparel or precious metals or anything
Okay.
like that.
Sure. Definitely. Okay. And so when I'm creating the LinkedIn profile, so for the summary section, that's the place when, where we create a value proposition for you as
Yeah.
as an ideal candidate. So there I want to know that are there any specific skill sets of yours or any particular skills that you really want to highlight through the summary, that you really want to put that, okay, I should be portrayed as such and such a person?
Yeah, I definitely, the executive aspect, the leadership aspect, analytically minded, e-commerce enabled, savvy, things of that nature.
Okay, okay, perfect.